Hi everyone, Jim Grey Wolf here. I'm sitting on the banks of Clear Creek, tributary of the Verde River, down here in Camp Verde. My dogs are wandering up and down the sides of the creek. Just been ruminating on a lodge that we had the other night, and I thought I would share some thoughts. Maybe this will just be for me, maybe we'll post it. I would sure like to hear what others have to say. Yeah, beautiful area here. Look at this. Yeah, both sides. Perfect. Anyway, as part of my nonprofit that I'm honored to be a part of, Sanctuaries of the Earth Mother, we're creating a sanctuary here in near Rimrock, Lake Montezuma, Arizona, just below Sedona, 25 minutes plus or minus. It's on top of a mesa, beautiful views, all national forest behind it, and we've named it Eagle's Roost Sanctuary. People have been coming, people can help setting it up, people have been coming for programs, for ceremonies, on and on and on. I've walked this road for years and years, and too many years. I don't even remember how many years, 35 years plus. Living with and learning from a lot of different indigenous people and non-indigenous people, and earning some degrees along the way from Colorado State University and other places. Now I sit here as I head into being in the north of my medicine wheel. I don't have much black left in my hair, which is fine. I have hair, I'm thankful for that. And considering how we move ahead in these times, I've always held to the model of action, education, ceremony, and those are the three main pieces. And I've always done them in the traditional ways that I was taught. Well, mostly. I've changed a little as my teachers back in the day told me I would need to do. I'm a bridge. I'm a bridge between many, I believe. I was told that's what I would be, and that's kind of how it's playing out. I'm Romany Gypsy and Native American, in the most part, by DNA. And then a smattering a lot of other things. I'm a mongrel, for sure. Romany Gypsy with roots in Italy and Switzerland are the two biggest, and then Native American the second. All the others are just smatterings of things, which is wonderful to carry. Oh, here, it's been a real joy to be doing this. I'm on the road part of the time, I'm stationary part of the time in the past. Right now I'm just here. I'll be needing to go on the road again soon, and I think bring some of these ceremonies and programs elsewhere, because it is time. We had a sweat lodge, a traditional Inipi sweat lodge, Lakota, which I've been trained in, as I've been trained in Mayan and several other sorts of similar ceremonies. Many, many years ago. I've probably poured maybe 300 lodges. We were thinking of Golden Light Eagle the other night, who passed on a couple years ago now, who I used to do them with, and who used to be one of my teachers. Two Bears was my primary teacher. Anyway, I thought, well, we'll do a traditional Inipi. I had one friend who was going to come. He was going to pour, actually. A Lakota friend who then got ill, had to go in hospital. So a couple days before, he had to pull out. Okay, I'm used to pouring. I can do that. I had my firekeeper rock carrier ready. And again, this time 3 days before a death in the family. He had to go into grieving. So he also had to pull out. A couple other friends, a couple couples who couldn't make it. Some things came up for them. It's okay. Whenever I do anything, program, ceremony, whoever shows up is who needs to be here. I'm sure you've all heard that. Many of us use that, and it's true. I had met up with two beautiful women from Hawaii, Neela and Bee. I knew they were coming. And two others of the Sanctuaries of the Earth Mother, actually three others who I knew were coming on our board. Heather Heather is a new person here in the area. She was called to the area. But I meet, also new, also called to the area, and my good sister, Gentle Thunder, who's been here for a while too. She and I have known each other a number of years. So, okay, well, let's just see how it goes. But we did a program, 4 or 5 days before that, to help the people and the animals of California where the fires are burning. That's the third we've done like that. So we were going to dedicate the lodge in a similar way. Well, then all these people were dropping out, but as I say, I never let that, whoever comes, comes. I'll carry the rocks myself if I have to. Although with my bum knees now, that would be difficult. So the night of the lodge came, and I knew if those few people were coming. And before I knew it, 2 other folks had to pull out, 2 men, and people started showing up. Well, my friend B from Hawaii had said she always wanted to learn how to tend fire. Ah, okay. Then let's do that. You tend fire, and I'll instruct you and guide. Even though I was going to be pouring the lodge at this point. My wonderful sister, who's also on our board, Christina, who's a local here, and who has another lodge on her property, where we also pour and do ceremony, and where she does amazing work with the women of the area. She does a red tent each month for the women when they're in their time of the month, and several other things. And she also pours, or has someone pour lodges for the women. And I go there sometimes and pour co-ed lodges, although I think I did one for the men. Anyway, that's another lodge. So Christina was coming. And Christina is asking me to guide her in carrying a sacred pipe. And so I thought it was a good time to also work with that energy a bit. So as she got here, I talked to her on how we would coordinate that. I generally bring my pipe into the lodge in the 3rd door. I thought, well, we're probably going to do this differently, because as people came, we were, at that point, maybe 4 women and myself. I said, well, okay, this is getting really interesting now. But I said, would you please help B with the rocks, because Christina knows that whole part of the process and has done it. And she said, of course. She had to sit out. She had to sit the fire this time. It was her time of the month. And so as that started, 3 more people came, all women. 2 more after that, invited by Gentle Thunder, 2 more women. By the time it was close for us, and we had already started the rocks, and I instructed on how to lay the fire in the directions of the rocks and building the fire. And we have to be careful here in the desert, especially with all the fires going on. So we were very careful with how we did it, but the fire was going nicely, and B was tending it with assist from others. Anila, another beautiful friend from Hawaii, had said she would do some talking about how these sorts of lodges happen in Hawaii, and some Hawaiian songs. So we were gathering a neat part. Anyway, by the time it was getting close, the group had amassed, and we were 11 women and myself. I've never quite had that happen before. No, I've never had that happen before. And and for the men who watch this, it felt really good and really powerful. It was going to be a sweat lodge, a sweat lodge for the community, not a traditional lodge that I would pour, or that my Mayan friends would pour their traditional lodge, and so on and so forth. But with many of the elements, of course, the sacredness, the prayers, the drumming, the songs, putting the water on the rocks, but more community-oriented. We talked before the lodge, all of us out there. One was going to go cook in the kitchen. That was her option. We had one who was tending fire. We had another who was working with me with the pipe before we started. We had others who were getting ready to do their parts. Some were bringing in wood. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, my God, this is amazing. And I'm so blessed to be here, to be gifted the opportunity to be here with all these women. Because this was definitely women by and for not only the community, but by the women. And in these times right now, it's the women who have to rebirth what we're doing. I truly believe that. I've been told that for a long time. I was taught that. Grandmothers I deal with now tell me that. And I'm watching it play out. Men, we need to step up. More of us, please, we need to step up. We need to be more in balance. But for that night, it was a beautiful thing. And I was in this one, I was becoming a teacher, a guide, a witness to what was going on. And I would pour when the time came. There was no one else who has poured lodges. And again, I've poured hundreds over the years. We definitely felt the energy of some of the ancestors, including Chief Golden Light Eagle, who I mentioned earlier, but some of the others as well that we've known, Lyman Yellow Hair, and others, I could list them. And others in the group spoke of their teachers. So we had two who sat the fire, actually, on their time in a month, and still honoring that way. And everything we're going to all do now, we're honoring the ways. We are adding some things. We need everybody involved. The prophecies say we all have to come together. The prophecies talk about sharing our skills. White Buffalo Calf Woman brought us various things. We are to share now. And so we are. With all good heart, with complete and total respect. And sometimes we'll do things differently. As I said, this was a lodge that could have been in many cultures that I've worked and learned from. Many. Just a generic community lodge, if you will. And I gave great thanks for all my teachers. My primary teachers were Lakota in the past, but also my Mayan teachers, my Garifuna teachers from Africa, on and on and on. I've been around a while. As you can tell from my hair, I've had a few walks around the sun. So as we did this lodge, it got more and more powerful in there. More and more powerful. My new friend Heather, who was new to the area, welcomed in the grandfathers and put the herbs on the rocks. It was interesting that most people who I've known longest around here did not show up for this lodge. There was a lot of visitors, and then some who I knew, like Gentle Thunder, some others who were relatively new but have been doing a lot, like Heather and Ramit. And so it was a gathering together of many cultures. We had a Hawaiian. We had a woman from India, Ramit. We had me, a mixed breed. We had some others mixed breed. We had an Irish woman. On and on. It was very diverse. It was very community oriented. And before we went in the old custom, we left things in the basket outside we didn't need. And that meant any prejudgments. That meant any anger. That meant any politics, any religion. We went in as 12 people to pray for the fires that are affecting people around the globe, to ask the Mother to continue to work with us, to ask the elementals to be there for us to calm things down a little, to talk to the Mother and Father. I mean, on and on, you can imagine. I won't share the heart of what we did because that was sacred ceremony and we did that together. We did take some pictures before we started ceremony so we could share them. I have put some up, so have others. Again, and that kind of follows the tradition of powwow, which for years we were never able to take pictures or videos at powwow. They'd confiscate your equipment. Over the last 3 years, that's changed 100%. We're asked to document and get it out there and teach and share. But again, when we do ceremony, don't share the ceremony. That's not going to happen in my world. Maybe in somebody else's as time goes on, who knows. But in the setup and in afterwards teaching, I think that's how we start to share. And I've seen this happening with folks of other culture. There's been some wonderful things coming out of Africa. There's been some things that Dene have put up, my Navajo brothers and sisters. And so as we prayed for those being affected, two-legged, four-legged, winged ones, all the creatures, in Palisades, and any donations we got, we put the blanket out for donations. Any donations we're going to go for the volunteers and the animals, as we've done before, and we'll continue to do as long as it's needed. We felt that radiating out to our larger circle here in Arizona, but then around the globe. And I knew of 3 other lodges going on who said they would join, and a lot of individuals, including my good brother Christopher Wesley down in New Zealand, who was praying and chanting as we were doing the work, and some native grandmothers who are good friends who were doing the same thing. They were drumming with us. One really close friend up in Colorado who I hadn't been able to get hold of that we were having this, who sent me a message afterward and said, I felt it, I sensed it, and so I joined. I mean, it was that kind of magic going on. Anyway, afterwards we gathered up in the sanctuary where food had been prepared and everyone brought food, and we had a feast, much more than I usually see, and it was delicious and it was wonderful. And we had some of the traditional stew with meat, and then we also had a number of vegan dishes to make sure we honored all paths, as we're supposed to do in these things. That meal was an incredible experience as well, and I realize that's also part of it. So where are we going to go with this? I'm not sure. I think for me personally, as I offer ceremonies, I'll be very clear when I'm doing them traditionally like I was trained, versus when we're doing these community type. And I don't know if we call them, maybe we don't have to label them anything, but I'm thinking of sweat lodges for and by the community, sweat lodges of the Earth Mother, I don't know. But you get the concept. So I thank everyone who was involved. It was incredible. I particularly thank you as the one man who was there, to be honored to be there as witness and scribe. I'm going to document all this as we go forward. We want the young ones to learn things, and that came up a lot, and it has been as I've worked with the women. The young ones don't want to be lectured at anymore. They want to participate. They want to add their elements, even as they respect and honor what has been there. So we need to find a way to meld this all together, I believe. And I know this has gone long, but I really have pondered this in my heart deeply. This isn't brain work, this is all heart work. And I will continue to do so. And I will be talking to more of you, as some of you have reached out, as we consider. It has great value, I can tell you that much. So I leave now with love and gratitude for everyone who was there, for our larger circle, for all the circles, for each of you who listen and spend your time hearing me. We will put some more things up. We'll continue to we will continue to bring in some kinds of donations, especially for the animals who are really